You're listening to the Kirkintilloch Herald, a Q&Review recording service podcast, brought to you by our team of volunteers currently recording from their homes across Scotland. Whether you're listening via the BWBF online players, the telephone app, or our brand new Alexa skill, please phone us on 0141 772 3976 to feedback on what you want us to provide and improve upon. Please also join your family and friends in being our audio ambassadors and share our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram all at Q&Review. That's at symbol CUEANDREVIEW.
This edition of the Kirkintilloch and Bishopbriggs Herald is published on Wednesday, the 27th of July 2022. £9,000 bank scam of OAP. Scammer and bank fraud. A man who let fraudsters use his bank account to con an OAP out of almost £9,000 has avoided jail. Jonathan Miller, 27, provided his details to unknown men in August 2016 in Kirkintilloch. An unknown man called the 78-year-old victim, pretending to be HSBC on a call regarding fraud. The elderly lady was duped into handling her security information. This allowed scammers to take £8,900 from her account, which was transferred to Miller's bank. Police later found that some of the money was converted into foreign currency in order to make a holiday purchase. Miller pled guilty at Glasgow Sheriff Court to acquiring and possessing criminal property. Miller, of Cadder in Glasgow, also admitted to charges of converting criminal property. The court heard that the senior citizen received a call from a man who said he was from HSBC. The man claimed the call was in relation to fraud. The pensioner handed over her banking and security password. Prosecutor Brogan Moffat said the man was able to reset the telephone banking and access her telephone banking account. Miller accessed the lady's account and transferred £6,000. The next day, he transferred £2,900. Miss King contacted HSBC 2 days later to reset her security question when she was asked about the recent transfers. The matter was referred to the Action Fraud team as well as the police. Miss Moffat said, "Police checked out the beneficiary account, which showed that the account holder was Miller. A warrant was granted for Miller's banking records. It was found that £8,900 had been transferred from Miss King's account to his own. It was also revealed there was a transfer of £1,613 to Thomson Holidays at the time the fraud was carried out." Miss Moffat added, "This was purchased using foreign currency. There were also various withdrawals from the two ATMs totalling £3,000. Ross Jenkins, defending, told the court that Miss King's losses were compensated. The lawyer added, "It would have been distressing for her and he knows that. He was approached by the men to be involved in this scheme and gave them his bank account details. He allowed his bank account to be useful for this purpose. He transferred and converted the money into foreign currency. It was revealed that Miller's previous convictions included a 15-month sentence for assault and attempted robbery. Sheriff Alan Finlay put Miller in a tag for 7 months, keeping him indoors between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. He told him, 'These people cannot operate without people like you, and you take the consequences for that.' For advice on how to spot scammers, visit www.scotland.police.uk. This week in history. July 27, 1949, the de Havilland Comet, the world's first jet airliner, made its maiden flight. On this day last year, it was announced TikTok were planning to open a cybersecurity centre in Ireland. July 28, 1959, postcodes were introduced into Britain by the Postmaster General, together with new postal sorting machines. On this day last year, Transport Secretary Grant Shapps announced England would be reopening its borders to fully vaccinated travellers from the US and Europe. July 29, 1948, the first post-war Olympic Games opened in London. July 30th, 1963, Third man Kim Philby turned up in Moscow after escaping arrest in Britain for spying. On this day last year, a baby beaver made history as the first to be born in Norfolk for more than 600 years. July 31st, 1950, Britain's first self-service store, Sainsbury's, opened in Croydon. On this day last year, Latin lessons were offered to thousands of state school pupils across the country as part of an effort by the Department for Education to make the language less elitist. August 1st, 1945, Family Favourites record request programme began on the BBC. On this day last year, food delivery and taxi hailing companies offered discounted rides and meals for customers who get a COVID-19 jab to help boost vaccine uptake.
Dynamic Duo Take on Epic Trek by Liz Gallagher. Read today by myself, Georgina. A gran and grandson have put their best feet forward to trek 26 miles and raise thousands of pounds for a global children's charity. Christine Donald, 74, and her 4-year-old grandson, David Nifton, clocked up the marathon miles to help the 260 million children worldwide who are missing out on education. Their fundraising effort has boosted Their World charity coffers by £3,000, smashing the duo's £2,600 target. Christine said, quote, "An amazing 26-mile walk. In rain and sun, we walked in the woods and in the countryside near Milngavie. Sometimes we even walked the longest way to nursery school to add to our miles total." End quote. David said, quote, "I feel sad that some children don't get to go to nursery school because I love my nursery. I get to play with different things and I have lots of new friends." End quote. Their World is a global children's charity committed to ending the global education crisis and unleashing the potential of the next generation. A spokesperson for the charity said, quote, "If we take no action, by 2030, 825 million children, half of all young people globally, will not have the most basic skills necessary to be part of the workforce." End quote. The pair's fundraising page can be found here, https://yourwalk.theirworld.org/fundraising/David and Christine are fundraising for their. Meanwhile, Royal Navy chef Martin Stewart McRae will be completing an all-new bear crawl challenge to raise cash for a charity supporting families whose children have a rare genetic disorder. Previously, Martin completed a bear crawl, on all fours, of Ben Nevis in 2021. He is now taking on a new challenge of bear crawling 3 peaks in 3 days in September: Ben Nevis, Snowdon, and Scafell Pike. His epic challenge is in aid of Arlo's Army, a charity formed to support families who are dealing with daily struggles of having a child with a life-threatening condition. 3-year-old Arlo from Milngavie has Wickett-Aldrich syndrome, a disorder of the immune system. The condition also makes it difficult for a child's bone marrow to produce platelets, making a child prone to bleeding. Visit https://www.facebook.com/Arlo's-Army. Article by Liz Gallagher.
Nominate your top local councillor for an award, as recorded by Hunter MacDonald. A national awards ceremony celebrating the work of councillors is calling for nominations. Local Government Information Unit Scotland and CCLA are hosting the 5th Annual Councillor Awards, honouring the achievements of individual councillors who go above and beyond for their communities. This year's categories showcase the vital work of councillors, including the coveted Community Champion, Leader of the Year and Young Councillor of the Year awards. Nominations can be made by anyone, members of the public, councillors and council officials who would like to recognise a councillor who has made a real difference to their area over the last year. The deadline for nominations is Wednesday the 7th of September, with the shortlist due to be unveiled at the end of September. The winners will be decided by a panel of judges made up of senior councillors and officers and leading stakeholders from across the sector, and revealed at a special ceremony on Wednesday, October the 12th. Jonathan Carr-West, Chief Executive of LGIU Scotland, said, "From how our towns look to the home care we receive and the funding of much valued community projects, the work of councillors is felt across all of our lives on a daily basis. Councillors and councils are key to keeping the machinery of everyday life going, ensuring the most vulnerable in the community are looked after, and making sure the places where we live and work are thriving, safe and inclusive." Golden Wedding Couples Sought. Do you or someone you know celebrate your golden wedding this year? If so, then North Lanarkshire Council wants to hear from you. The province of North and South Lanarkshire jointly host an annual celebration for couples who celebrate their 50th anniversary. This year it will be hosted in South Lanarkshire Council's banqueting hall, and couples are being asked to get in touch if they want to take part in the event. It will take place on Wednesday the 12th of October and possibly Thursday the 13th of October if needed. The deadline to submit a request to take part is Friday the 12th of August. North Lanarkshire Provost Agnes McGowan said, "The Golden Wedding celebration are a real highlight of the year and enjoyed by so many people from across Lanarkshire. Golden weddings are very special occasions and bring back so many happy memories for people, and we'd encourage couples who were married in 1972 to get in touch with us and take part in these wonderful celebrations. One of the most iconic films ever released first played to audiences in 1972, The Godfather. Other hits of the silver screen included The Poseidon Adventure and The Way of the Dragon. In the charts, Donny Osmond hit top spot with Puppy Love, and Alice Cooper's School's Out was also top of the pops. The Watergate scandal dominated news headlines for much of the year, as did the murder of 11 Israeli athletes at that year's Olympics. Book a TV slot. Do you love reading? If so, the Big Scottish Book Club wants to hear from you. The club is returning for a fourth series on BBC Scotland and are looking for book lovers all over the country to get involved. The programme with presenter Damien Barr is keen to hear from everyone and anyone passionate about books. In addition to studio guests, the Big Scottish Book Club is heading out and about to speak to book lovers across Scotland. Readers will be invited to give a book review of a classic title, and each week the show visits a different village or town and challenges 3 residents to tell viewers in 45 seconds about their bucket list book. Damien said, "We are bringing the audience at home right into the heart of the show. To take part, email a bit about yourself to bsbc@iwcmedia.co.uk.
Dobie's Grow How session. Yes, we know it's summer, and the festive season will be the furthest thing from your mind. However, Dobie's wants to help you enjoy a sustainably homegrown Christmas feast this year. The popular garden firm is hosting a free Grow How session at the Mulgai store to show customers how to prepare a delicious dinner with all the trimmings. The special interactive session takes place on Saturday the 6th of August, perfectly suited for novice gardeners and experts alike. Dobie's horticultural experts will spend 10 to 15 minutes delivering an informative how-to guide with top tips on growing those Christmas dinner staples. Honour for Chamber. Report by Liz Gallagher. Dumbartonshire Chamber of Commerce has been given the highest badge of honour for its continuing support of the armed forces. The Chamber has been awarded gold status in the Defence Employer Recognition Scheme, ERS, having recently retained silver status. The scheme, which was launched in 2014, is part of the National Armed Forces Covenant. Dumbartonshire Chamber was the first in the UK to sign the covenant, along with all members of its board and their associated companies. The ERS encourages businesses to support defence and inspire others to do the same. The scheme encompasses bronze, silver and gold awards for employer organisations that pledge, demonstrate or advocate support to defence and the armed forces community. Dunbartonshire Chamber has been a key partner to this end and, together with 3 other Scottish chambers, established Chamber Force in partnership with HRFCA, specifically to support the work of HRFCA, Defence and Armed Forces. In the last 5 years, activity has focused on increasing the profile for the Armed Forces Covenant within the business community, encouraging ERS submissions and raising awareness about the wide range of transferable skills amongst Armed Forces personnel. Dunbartonshire Chamber works closely with Armed Force buddies at Seven Scots and at Faslane Naval Base, including co-hosting showcase events and tours of Faslane. A number of key businesses have been observers, the Joint Warrior Exercises, which provide an important insight into the value of both full-time and reservist activities. Minister for Defence People Leo Docherty said, "Regardless of size, location or sector, employing members of the Armed Forces community is good for businesses. These awards recognise the outstanding support for our armed forces from employers across the UK, and I would like to thank and congratulate each and every one." Damon Scott, Chief Executive, Dunbartonshire Chamber, said, "We were delighted to receive the Gold ERS Award, the highest level of recognition for our work as part of the Chamber Force Armed Forces partnership." Damon will attend a special award ceremony at Stirling Castle in November.
Record fall in emissions. Emissions caused by cars, trains and other vehicles in East Dunbartonshire fell by a record number in 2020, new figures show. Friends of the Earth said a national drop in transport emissions is not surprising due to successive lockdowns during the first year of the coronavirus pandemic. But they added the government should do more to encourage people to switch to electronic vehicles or ditch their cars entirely as emissions rebound. Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy figures show transport, including cars, trains and other modes of travel, caused 105 kilotons of carbon dioxide equivalent KTCO2 emissions in East Dunbartonshire in 2020. This was down from 127 the year before and the largest decrease since 2005 when records began. That year, transport emissions hit 165 KTCO2. Road vehicles counted for 98% of transport emissions, while diesel-powered trains produced a further 1%. Across the UK, the carbon footprint caused by transport dropped by a record 23,350 KTCO2, 18%, from 130,021 to 106,671. Friends of the Earth attribute the dramatic fall to the general public travelling less during lockdown. Mike Childs, Head of Policy, said rebounding traffic levels are now contributing to the government's struggle in meeting its climate targets. The government pledged to cut emissions by 78% by 2035 compared to 1990 levels and reach net zero by 2050. Ministers must do more to help people switch to electric vehicles or, better still, encourage them to leave their cars at home by providing better public transport and making it safer to walk and cycle, said Mr Childs. A government spokesperson said, we have committed unprecedented funding to encouraging walking and cycling as well as to accelerate the electric vehicle rollout. East Dunbartonshire's total greenhouse gas emissions fell to 410 KTCO2 in 2020, down 10% from 410 the year before. Of this, 26% was caused by transport, commercial emissions for 7%, industry produced 5%, and domestic use 44%. The average person locally produced 4 TCO2 in 2020. Read by Alan Todd.
Thousands to receive help. Thousands of East Dunbartonshire families are set to receive £650 to help with the cost of living crisis, new figures show. Families receiving means-tested benefits including universal credit, job seekers allowance or child tax credits are set to automatically receive £326 between July the 14th and the end of the month. Another payment of £324 will follow in the autumn. The Department of Work and Pensions estimate that around 5,100 families are set to receive the payment in the Eastern Berkshire Westminster constituency. This comes alongside a £150 payment for those who claim disability benefits, set to be paid in the autumn, with the same figures showing around 7,000 local disabled people are to benefit. The payments come amid criticism from charities that the UK government is not doing enough to tackle the soaring cost of basic goods and fuel, and that the money might not have arrived in some people's bank accounts by the end of the month.
Slight drop in property prices. House prices dropped slightly by 0.8% in Eastern Bartonshire in May, new figures show. But the drop does not reverse the longer-term trend, which has seen property prices in the area grow by 8.4% over the last year. The average Eastern Bartonshire house price in May was £253,323, Land Registry figures show, a 0.8% decrease on April. Over the month, the picture was different to that across Scotland, where prices increased 1.1%, and Eastern Bartonshire was lower than the 1.2% rise for the UK as a whole. Over the last year, the average sale price of property in Eastern Bartonshire rose by £20,000, putting the area 26th among Scotland's 32 local authorities with price data for annual growth. The highest annual growth in Scotland was in Nahillanshire, where property prices increased on average by 24.6% to £160,000. At the other end of the scale, properties in Inverclyde lost 0.1% of their value, giving an average price of £113,000. An imbalance between supply and demand for properties has remained the primary reason behind climbing house prices across the UK throughout the pandemic. But activity is starting to slow, with soaring inflation putting household budgets under pressure. Sarah Coles, Senior Personal Finance Analyst at financial advice company Hargreave Lansdowne, said, "The average house price hit another record high in May and rose faster than any time since the peak in June last year. However, we're starting to see small changes in the market, which are likely to mean weaker growth in the coming months, especially if interest rates are hiked in August." First-time buyers in Eastern Bartonshire spent an average of £187,000 on their property, £13,000 more than a year ago, and £38,000 more than in May 2017. By comparison, former owner-occupiers paid £302,000 on average in May, 61.6% more than first-time buyers. Owners of detached houses saw the biggest fall in property prices Eastern Bartonshire in May. They dropped 1.5% in price to £459,431 on average, but over the last year, prices rose by 12%.
September weekend fun. Go wild for Food Foraging Festival. Report by Julie Curry. The Scottish Wild Food Festival is back this year with an even bigger programme and increased capacity. A wonderful weekend of autumn sunshine, foraging, feasting and nature-based learning. It will be held on September the 17th and 18th. The festival will be a family-friendly weekend event with facilitators from all over Scotland and a few from further afield, with a packed schedule of free talks and activities included in the ticket price. Events include foraging walks, fungi identification, talks, herbal tea blending, botanical storytelling, charcoal making, arts and crafts, presentations on forage drinks and delicacies, and Q&A sessions on the wider implications of foraging and sustainable food systems from some of the most experienced foragers and educators in the UK. A festival spokeswoman said, "Last year's event was blessed by sunshine and greeted by a very enthusiastic audience. This year we have increased the festival capacity and programme dramatically and are thrilled to have an even wider range of activities and experiences on offer. In particular, the variety of meals and banquets available to book really showcases the wealth of wild flavours out there, as well as the knowledge and experience of our guests, chefs and tutors. This year's menu options range from a group foraging what for ingredients to cook up a cauldron together, to an evening feast of wild food with botanical storytelling accompaniment. We look forward to sharing not just the usefulness of wild food, but also the cultural heritage and folklore that intertwine us with the natural world around us. It's going to be a magical weekend. Over the 2 days, there will also be opportunities to join in hands-on workshops and experiences, including women's circles, yoga, tea tasting, cocktail making, medicinal herbs, all things seaweed, fermentation workshops, aromatherapy, wild lifestyle talks, music and storytelling. There's also a mouth-watering lineup of meals from chefs such as Ben Reid, Edinburgh Food Studio, Nordic Food Lab and University of Gastronomic Sciences, the award-winning team at Buck and Birch, Van Life cookbook authors Danny Jack and Hayley Cookers, and Claire Holohan of West Highland Herbal. In the various spaces around the picturesque grounds at Tirnanog Holistic Centre, just outside the village of Drummond in Stirlingshire, there will be a forest school area for kids, outdoor spaces for talks, foraging walks, bushcraft activities, and an outdoor wild market featuring local and wild food, drink, and other artisan goods to buy, and information stalls on sustainability and foraging. Festival goers will also have access to the Soup Dragon Cafe, Tirnanog shops, and the holistic therapies too. The full programme listings and tickets are on sale now at www.scottishwildfoodfestival.co.uk. Nature is bountiful. This year's festival will showcase the best of nature's bounty, brought to you by the most experienced and passionate foragers, chefs, and environmentalists and artisans. Join them in foraging with walks and talks and workshops. Taste the best in wild and local cuisine. Learn about the medicinal properties and folklore of plants, and browse the wild market for delicious produce, natural remedies, and local crafts. Being held in the grounds of the Tirnanog Holistic Centre, just outside Drummond. More details are available at www.scottishwildfoodfestival.co.uk. Adult prices start at £16 per day or £30 for the weekend, with under 5s free and 5 to 13s at £2 per day.
Nominate healthcare heroes who deserve an award. The Scottish Health Awards 2022 is calling on East Dunbartonshire locals to help find Scotland's most dedicated healthcare professionals. The awards celebrate the NHS staff, support workers, volunteers and specialist teams who go above and beyond to provide exceptional care and support to patients and their families. Every year, Scotland's healthcare heroes help thousands of people in need, and never more so than during the pandemic. Patients, families, work colleagues and members of the public can make a nomination for one of 16 categories, including the People's Choice Award, specially created to recognise the extraordinary work of NHS Scotland staff, social care staff and carers in responding to the pandemic. Hamza Youssef, MSP, Cabinet Secretary for Health and Social Care, said, "Every year the Scottish Health Awards provide an opportunity to show our appreciation for the dedicated individuals and teams delivering high-quality health and care services to the people of Scotland. As Cabinet Secretary for Health and Social Care, I regularly witness the commitment and hard work shown by colleagues working in our NHS Scotland and across our partners, even more so over the past 2 years during such a difficult time. And we are still seeing staff rising to the many challenges of dealing with the pandemic as we face the road to recovery. These awards recognise the contribution of frontline health and social care workers, but also celebrate those who work so hard behind the scenes in support roles to ensure we have the kind of health and care services that are so crucial to achieving the highest quality of care. I hope that during the nomination period, patients, the public and staff will take the opportunity to nominate the people who deserve to be recognised for their contribution to the delivery of consistent, reliable and responsive health and care services in Scotland. Nominations can be made at www.scottishhealthcareawards.com until 5 p.m. on August the 21st. Entries will be evaluated by a panel of judges, while a shortlist for the People's Choice Award will be announced week commencing September the 12th for the public to vote for the winner. The winners will be announced at the awards ceremony at the O2 Academy, Edinburgh, on November 3rd.
Sprain patients urged to use virtual A&E. People who suffer sprains and strains should not attend a physical A&E and should instead first speak to their GP or call NH24 on 111 to speak to NHS GGC's virtual emergency team. The call comes as NHS GGC recorded 158 physical A&E strains and sprains patients over the course of a week, all of whom could have been seen faster through its virtual service. Also known as the Flow Navigation Centre, the virtual A&E service sees and treats more than 1,500 patients every month through emergency video and telephone consultations. The service is highly experienced in managing sprains and strains, and if further treatment is required, patients are given a scheduled arrival time at a minor injuries unit, helping them avoid a potentially long wait for treatment. For the 150 sprain and strain patients who opted to go straight to a physical A&E, the average waiting time was around 2 hours in a busy waiting room, with one patient waiting upwards of 5 hours as higher priority cases took precedence. In contrast, the average waiting time for sprains and strains patients referred to the Flow Navigation Centre is less than 1 hour, and patients receive treatment from the comfort of home at an agreed appointment time. Modelling from the Health Board suggests upwards of 100,000 patients per year could be seen through the virtual A&E, and patients who think they need to visit A&E are encouraged to use it as a first port of call. Pauline Carey is an emergency nurse practitioner from NHS GGC's Flow Navigation Centre. Pauline said, "The Flow Navigation Centre is an ideal setup for sprains and strains patients. When you speak to us, we'll evaluate your injury, provide advice, and we can book you in for onward treatment if necessary. If we think you need an x-ray, you'll get a time to attend the nearest MIU, meaning you avoid A&E altogether. The key point to remember is to call us first before you make a trip to the hospital." The Flow Navigation Centre, which launched in December 2020, has now seen more than 30,000 patients. It operates every day and is staffed by a team of highly experienced nurses and doctors. Patients can find out more info about the service by visiting the NHS GGC website. Kiara nominated for a National Diversity Award. Report by Liz Gallagher. A Lennoxtown teenager has been nominated for a prestigious National Diversity Award in the category of Positive Role Model. Kiara McCarthy's nomination is in recognition of her campaigning work to make mainstream education more diverse and disability aware. In 2021, Bishopbriggs Academy S6 pupil Kiara, 18, founded the Inclusivists, a small group of students from different backgrounds and experiences with the aim of raising the profile of marginalised groups within mainstream education, starting with disabled people. The group primarily focus their work on social media platforms, and they have produced presentations for teachers, giving them guidance on diversity and disability awareness. Kiara herself is profoundly deaf and has cerebral palsy and autism. She says she has been campaigning because of the negative attitudes and bullying she experienced growing up in mainstream education. Kiara's work has also received praise in the Scottish Parliament. Rona Mackay, MSP for Strathkelvin and Bearsden, recently tabled a motion in support of her nomination and her work to raise disability awareness in schools, describing Kiara as a powerful voice. In addition to her own campaigning work, Kiara works with the National Deaf Children's Society as a changemaker. They are made up of deaf young activists from around the UK, working to improve their communities for deaf young people. Kiara lives with her parents Shona and Kevin. She has two sisters, Orla, 21, and Imir, 18. The National Diversity Awards are held on September 16th in Liverpool. Kiara said, As a person with multiple disabilities, I felt that there wasn't enough representation surrounding my experiences going through mainstream education, and I wanted to become that representation for young disabled people. I intend to continue my campaigning journey into my future and become a disabled activist. I hope the work I do will inspire future generations of young disabled people and encourage them to do anything that they want. Shona, Kiara's mum, added, "We're incredibly proud of how Kiara overcomes all the hurdles and challenges she's faced." Let's talk. This week's letters page, read to you by myself, Ian McKenna. Go ahead for Sizewell, regardless of sea threat. Sir, a UK government webpage on the topic of climate change says sea levels will keep rising as the polar ice sheets and glaciers melt and the warming oceans expand. Even small increases of tens of centimetres could put thousands of lives and settlements at risk from coastal flooding. The government obviously doesn't believe this, as they've just announced the go-ahead of Sizewell C nuclear power station and, judging by the TV footage, the construction site is only a few feet above sea level and right next to the sea. Yours etc., Jeff Moore, by email. Counting immense cost of net zero. Sir, the COP26 President and Cabinet Minister, Alok Sharma, has threatened to resign if the next Prime Minister is not committed to net zero. Net zero by 2050 will cost the UK public £3 trillion. There are 67 million people in the UK, so net zero will cost each man, woman and child £45,000 or, alternatively, since there are 27.8 million households, each household will have to contribute £108,000. The politicians never do their sums. All this horrendous net zero cost and impoverishment for what? The UK has a minuscule 1.13% of global emissions, but the rest of the world have already abandoned their COP26 promises as they burn coal to keep the lights on. China will buy gas from Russia for the next 30 years, and Russia will supply India with 40 million tonnes of coal and China with 100 million tonnes. China and India are responsible for 37% of global emissions, so, Alok Sharma, does that look like a firm COP26 commitment to you? Your resignation will be very welcome. Yours etc., Clark Cross, address supplied. Who is to say Boris will not be back? Sir, the Conservative Party members will now decide between Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak as to who will be our next Prime Minister, and although they have been chosen as the top two contenders by their fellow MPs, neither candidate shows real leadership qualities, and a good second in command does not necessarily make the transition to the top job. Chancellor Sunak helped bring the country through COVID, and Liz Truss achieved many plus points as Foreign Minister, but the Tory party may regret kicking out Boris Johnson, whose swan song was "Hasta la vista," but could also turn out to be "I'll be back." Yours etc., James McIntyre, address supplied. Is Nicola Sturgeon boxed in? Sir, has Nicola Sturgeon completely boxed herself in? She has promised a referendum on October the 19th, 2023. She has already had press conferences at Bute House to promote this, albeit with little detail. If this is now to be, at best, only an advisory referendum, then this is not how she has portrayed it so far. The problem for the First Minister is, not only are her ardent supporters expecting said referendum to be delivered on time, it is costing Scottish taxpayers a lot of money, so it is unlikely to be on budget. She's between a rock and a hard place. She certainly can't continue to promise what she can't deliver. Has she an exit strategy in mind because, by the look of things, she really needs it? Yours etc., Gerald Edwards, by email. Before the panto had even begun. Sir, it's interesting to see that the Tory leadership candidates, who were too afraid to go head to head with their rivals, are now the two who are the final contenders. It shows what a farce the whole contest was to start with. Tory MPs had evidently already made up their minds as to the most malleable candidates before the pantomime had even begun. Whoever wins will, of course, be a mere puppet for the taxpayer-funded, sinister, and secret European research group. So, without doubt, our new PM will be the utterly clueless Liz Truss. This is the Tory democracy in action. Yours, etc., D. Mitchell. Address supplied.
Bid to protect our countryside. A campaign has been launched encouraging people to speak up about those causing harm and damage to Scotland's countryside and their vital communities. Crime Stoppers is working with Network Rail on the initiative as international tourists return following pandemic restrictions. With many people planning trips to the countryside, the anticipated impact of large visitor numbers and effects of rural crime can be devastating to the environment. Over 95% of Scotland is classed as rural, and NFU Mutual estimates that rural crime costs Scotland around £1.8 million annually. Whilst the volume of crime in rural areas is lower than in urban, the consequences within a rural community often have a much deeper and far-reaching impact, both on the victim and community. Crime Stoppers, together with Police Scotland and wider rural and environmental organisations, are asking the public to spot the signs of rural crime and give information 100% anonymously. The key crimes in rural areas include housebreaking, theft of farm equipment, vehicles and machinery, livestock-related crimes, fly tipping, hare coursing and badger baiting, fuel theft, both domestic and commercial, wildlife crime and willful fire raising. Angela Parker, Crime Stoppers Scotland National Manager, said, "Our campaign is encouraging the public to be aware of the harm rural crime can inflict on the environment and economy. From our heritage crime to willful fire raising and theft, these crimes often go unreported and can ruin lives and the rural environment." Inspector Alan Drawn, Police Scotland Rural Crime Coordinator, added, "Unfortunately, the consequences of a rural crime often has a deeper impact. Access rights are not an excuse for antisocial or illegal behaviour. Please respect our rural communities and countryside, leave no trace of your visit, and don't let any individuals spoil your experience. Posters will be shared across Scotland. To report a crime in confidence, call 0800 555 111 or visit crimestoppers-uk.org.
Stay safe and follow the Water Safety Code. Water Safety Scotland is urging the public to stay safe around Scotland's waterways while enjoying the sunshine. With more warm weather predicted, WSS is calling on people to follow the Water Safety Code. While it can be tempting to enter the water in warmer weather, sudden immersion can lead to cold water shock. Cold water shock can affect even the strongest swimmers, as it overwhelms the ability to breathe and to swim, which can lead to drowning. It is important to learn how to keep safe around water, follow the local safety guidance, and to avoid alcohol on and near waterways. Last year, 58 people sadly lost their lives to accidental drowning in Scotland, the majority of which were in inland open waterways, such as rivers, canals, and lochs, 67%. To help reduce drowning fatalities, WSS is highlighting the Water Safety Code and the new UK campaign Respect the Water, which launched on July 25th. The Water Safety Code is an easy-to-remember 3-step code and provides some life-saving advice that aims to help you and those you are with keep safe when near open water. Stop and think, spot the dangers, stay together, stay safe, and in an emergency, call 999. A WSS spokesman said, quote, "Although the air temperature is hot, waterways in Scotland are very cold, and entering them can lead to cold water shock. Our key message is to follow the Water Safety Code. We urge the public to learn the code and to tell their families and friends about it." End quote. Visit www.watersafetyscotland.org.uk/information/water safety code.
Help find Scotland's greatest escape. A new 8-part series will take audiences on a journey to the very best escape Scotland has to offer, and ultimately crown one as Scotland's greatest escape. The BBC Scotland production team is asking the public to nominate what holiday experience they think is worthy of the title, with businesses also welcome to apply. A wide variety of holiday styles and destinations will be showcased, with the emphasis on exceptionality and not luxury. All budgets will be catered for. From wellness treats to adrenaline-fueled activity breaks, romantic getaways to family fun, each episode will showcase the top 3 destinations in their category and be road tested by a family or group of friends with a passion for that particular holiday style. They will spend one night at each of the shortlisted destinations and be tasked to judge 5 specific elements of their stay. The holiday with the highest score goes forward to the grand final. Once all finalists are selected, an industry panel will deliberate on which of the finalists is most deserving. Scotland's Greatest Escape will be produced by Red Sky Productions for the BBC Scotland channel and BBC iPlayer. It will broadcast in 2023. Louise Thornton, BBC Head of Commissioning, said, "We all know Scotland is famous as being one of the best countries in the world for tourism, but this series will take viewers on a different journey of discovery and will shine a light on some of Scotland's hidden holiday gems. We can't wait to be inspired by what it reveals." To nominate, go to the BBC website bbc.in/Scotland's Greatest Escape by the closing date of Wednesday, August the 10th. 25 Scots have a stroke each day. Report by Julie Curry. Chest, Heart and Stroke Scotland has launched its summer campaign, with a survivor sharing her story to encourage others to help the charity. After supporting her husband Kevin to recover from a life-changing stroke, little did Nancy Barron think she would have to fight her own battle just 3 years later. Nancy, 64, had a stroke in September 2021 that left her with aphasia, which affects her speech and use of numbers, and sensitivity in her right hand. She says she owes her recovery to Chest, Heart and Stroke Scotland, and she is calling on fellow Scots to donate to the charity to help others just like her. She said, "I knew nothing about strokes until Kevin had his 3 years ago. He was much more affected than I was and was in hospital for 7 weeks. I was with him the morning it happened, so thankfully I had some of the idea of what a stroke looks like. We'd been for dinner with friends to celebrate Kevin's birthday. I dozed off watching TV and decided to get ready for bed. I couldn't stand up, I had no strength in my legs. I thought, I can't be having a stroke, but I was. The paramedics took me to the stroke unit at Ninewells Hospital in Dundee. A scan showed a clot in my brain, so they gave me thrombolysis to break the clot down. I feel very lucky that all I have been left with is aphasia. Kevin had to learn to walk again after his stroke." On release from hospital, Nancy felt lost. Then she received a call from Chest, Heart and Stroke Scotland's Hazel Sterniforth, the community support coordinator for Tayside. Nancy added, "I'd been home a week and Hazel called me. It was like a lifeline. I joined Hazel's online support group and she introduced me to a volunteer called Sam. Sam has been amazing. She calls me every week and spends an hour going over my speech and numbers. She has helped me so much. Sam took away all the fears that I had. Her advice and humour have given me the confidence to be able to speak, write and read again. Every day 25 people in Scotland have a stroke, turning lives upside down in an instant. To help stroke survivors like Nancy, visit www.chss.org.uk.
An MOD Gold Award for Poppy Scotland. Poppy Scotland has been recognised by the Ministry of Defence for its outstanding help with employment for members of the Armed Forces community. The charity was awarded the Defence Employer Recognition Scheme Gold Award, the highest badge of honour given by the MOD. It is one of 16 businesses and organisations in Scotland to receive the Gold Award, with the scheme now in its 9th year. Poppy Scotland and its subsidiary, Lady Haig's Poppy Factory, which employs a number of veterans with disabilities, both achieved a silver award last year. Austin Hardy, Poppy Scotland director, said, "Receiving the gold award is testimony to the values of Poppy Scotland and our commitment to those who have served and are still serving. We hope it will encourage others to get involved in our life-changing welfare work."
District News, General. A loving home wanted for Mia. Animal welfare experts at Dogs Trust West Calder are looking for a new home for Mia, a sweet 7-year-old Akita Border Collie crossbreed. Mia is a fun-loving girl who enjoys being outdoors and looks forward to her daily walks. She is clever and enjoys showing off her tricks in exchange for treats. Mia is a gentle girl who enjoys lounging around the house, finding a sun-soaked spot to relax in. Mia prefers to keep to herself and likes walking in quiet areas where she is unlikely to meet other dogs. She would like to have a garden and would love to live with a large breed lovers who can give her lots of attention. If you think you could provide a home for Mia, please call 01506 873 459. Heart of the Matter. Alcohol, in moderation, can be good, by Dr. Frank Dunn. I was most interested to read of an innovative idea from Eastwood Care Home in Glasgow's south side. They have constructed an on-site pub called The Staying Inn. Residents can pop in for a drink, meet fellow residents in a convivial setting and enjoy quizzes and other group activities. The pub provides a variety of alcoholic beverages, including draft beer and non-alcoholic refreshments. There is also the opportunity for relatives and friends to join the residents for a drink and perhaps some pub grub. The most important aspect of this innovation is the restoration of a sense of normality. I am sure that this idea has been replicated in other nursing homes. There is also an awareness of the importance of group activities, such as exercise or singing. During my time at Stop Hill, we decided on a novel idea for our patients in the cardiac ward. Patients were offered a small drink at 9 p.m. on a Friday and Saturday evening. This was initially provided through the pharmacy, and then the relatives would donate to maintain supplies. The nursing staff constructed a special drinks trolley to take round the wards. In time, we had quite a selection of drinks, from spirits to wine, and a variety of beers. We had to admit defeat when one of the younger patients requested a Bacardi Breezer. The patients christened this activity Dr. Dunn's Dram. Since I never had any eponym, I was quite quietly chuffed, and did little to deny this. The truth is that I did provide the first bottle of whiskey, which one patient complained was too grainy. There was never any abuse of the drink offer, and a second drink was not sought. We continued this policy for at least 20 years, until the inpatient facility closed. This may well be the legacy I will be remembered for my time in Stop Hill. While I appreciate fully the hazards of alcohol, it has, like many things in life, benefits if it is used in moderation. My grandmother, who was a demure lady, enjoyed a wee whiskey. She had a whiskey and milk at bedtime and drank half, then the other half in the middle of the night. She lived till she was almost 99. My mother, when offered a glass of water, would reply, "I don't care where you put the water, as long as you don't put it in the wine." My mother died at the younger age of 97. I feel a wee bedtime toddy coming on. Tax Credits App. More than 33,600 customers have successfully used the HMRC app to renew their tax credits claim so far this year, a 39% increase on last year. Tax credits help working families with targeted financial support, so it is important customers act now to renew before the quickly approaching July the 31st deadline to ensure their payments don't stop. Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, HMRC, is encouraging more customers to use the highly rated app, as it is a quick and easy way to get this vital job done. It is free and simple to use and allows direct access to tax credits at the touch of a button. Myrtle Lloyd, HMRC's Director General for Customer Services, said, "Time is running out for our tax credits customers to renew their claims. It's quick, easy and free to complete a renewal on the HMRC app. Search HMRC in your smartphone app store." No safe place for bikes. More than a third of people living in Scotland don't have a safe and secure place to store their bike at home. Of the 2.6 million residential properties in Scotland, just over 37%, 980,290, are flats and tenements, high-rises and apartment blocks that have no private outdoor space for sheds or garages where people can safely store their bikes. That is an estimated 1.5 million people. An independent report was commissioned by the nation's cycling organisation, Cycling Scotland, to understand the barriers to residential cycle storage in Scotland and look at solutions. Kath Braw, Head of Behaviour Change in Cycling Scotland, said, "Lack of safe, secure, covered, accessible and conveniently located cycle storage is a barrier to owning and using a bike. As we face a cost of living crisis, it is urgent that we do everything we can to make it easier for people to make affordable journeys, and a bike helps people to reach employment, education and essential services reliably and cheaply." The report's recommendations include strengthening national policy and guidance on the development of minimum standards for residential cycle storage, requiring local authorities to include more detail about both the quantity and quality of cycle storage in new residential housing, and providing increased financial support for cycle storage, particularly for retrofitting. Greatest auction. Have you got something extraordinary you'd like to sell? Could it make you a life-changing amount of money? A new TV series, The Greatest Auction, is offering you the chance to get your item in front of some of the most competitive buyers. The show's specially created auction house will sell to buyers specially selected for their enthusiasm and passion for the items selected. Everything from art to artefacts, medieval to modern, with the weird and wonderful in between. If you've got something that's amazing, valuable, or has a fascinating story behind it, then contact The Greatest Auction at curvemedia.com, providing your name, contact details, and a photograph of your item. Sport. Mexican star comes to City. Report by Brian Newell. Glasgow City has announced the signing of Mexican striker Desiree Montesivies. The former Mexican international becomes Eileen Gleeson's 7th signing of the summer. The prolific striker joins the Springburn club from Monterrey, having played in her homeland since the formation of Liga MX Femenil in 2017. Montesivies scored 119 goals in 166 games for Monterrey and was the first player in league history to hit 100 goals in Liga MX Femenil when she netted her century last year. She was also part of the Monterrey side that won the La Liga MX Femenil League titles in 2019 and 2021. The signing of the exciting attacker is set to bolster Glasgow City's squad for the new-look Scottish Women's Premier League season. The campaign gets underway on Sunday, August the 7th, as Spartans are the visitors to Petershill Park, and the first away game is a trip to Motherwell the following Sunday, August the 14th. Montesivies said, "I feel very motivated and happy to take on this amazing opportunity. It's definitely a new challenge with high expectations, but I feel ready to live up to it, all knowing that the club has such great confidence in me and has welcomed me with such ease. I'm ready to work alongside my teammates to keep adding silverware to this rich club." Her new manager, Gleeson, added, "I'm delighted that we have succeeded in bringing Desiree Montesivies to Glasgow City FC. Desiree was a key target for us, so it is with great pleasure that we welcome her to the club. She's a known goal scorer who I have no doubt will quickly become a Glasgow City fan favourite. She is a driven, ambitious player who will make this team step up a level. Signing Desiree, alongside the additional new summer signings, which add to the existing quality within the squad, signals Glasgow City's intent to challenge for all silverware this season. Glasgow City fans can see Monsivais in action with more big games than ever before at Petershill Park. Season tickets are on sale from the online club shop by visiting www.glasgowcityfc.co.uk/shop. Season ticket holders will get 20% discount on Champions League tickets. Coming home is the key. It's the big kick-off as Kirkintilloch Rob Roy start the West of Scotland Premier League campaign away to Hurlford on Saturday. However, manager Stuart Maxwell says there is something more important than league titles or trophies this season, and that is bringing the club home. Rob Roy had been playing at Guy's Meadow in Cumbernauld since Adamsley Park was sold 7 years ago. Work on the new £5 million Kirkintilloch Community Sports Complex is due to be completed in September, but it remains to be seen if Rob Roy will be given the green light to play there. Maxwell started a petition in February which attracted over 2,000 signatures after the club were told they need to tender to run the complex. He said, "While winning the league or cup would be nice, the main focus has to be getting back to Kirkintilloch and securing the very future of the club. We have been playing Cumbernauld for too long. I can hardly believe it's closing in on a decade. The new sports complex is looking great as it nears completion, and we simply have to be playing there. This club has so much potential with a great community behind us, but there is no way to ensure stability and then progress until we come home." Kick-off on Saturday at Blair Park is at 2 p.m. Meanwhile, Rob Roy had been given a bye into the second round of the Scottish Junior Cup and made defender Luke Kelly available for transfer. Sports Digest. Stock cars, Racewall results. There were no local drivers racing in the saloons, where Peter Lau won both of the heats, although in the second he was pushed sideways across the finish line. The final was fast, despite the conditions, with Tam Runniford Jr. taking the lead early on. As the laps dwindled, so too did his lead, but he was still clear of Kyle Irvine and E. McLaughlin at the close. In the ORCI stock rods, Michael Bethune and James Gray were the heat winners, but the final was led from start to finish by Logan Tweedy, and he was clear of Bethune and Gray at the checker. There was a good turnout of pro-stock basic drivers. The opening heat saw Martin Logie run away to win from Charlie Fakeney, and Graham Dignan with Logie winning 2 from Fitchie and Liam Boyle. The final was a hectic one, with Logie making it a clean sweep, and he went on to win from Boyle and Fakeney. The Micro Bangers turned up for their Scottish Supreme Championship, with a few drivers heading up from down south for the occasion. In the Scottish Supreme Championship, Harry Cobb went on to win from Callum Lamont and Fraser Little. Cobb won the first heat from Sean McConaughey, with the roles reversed in Heat 2, with Campbell rolling his car towards the end of the race. The Destruction Derby was suspended after S. McConaughey and Chris Watson had to bail out of their cars quickly when the latters burst into the flames, leaving Craig Watson the winner. The next meeting at the Racewall is on Friday, July the 30th, where the Formula 2 saloons and ORCI mini-stocks drivers are in action. The meeting starts at 7 p.m. Judokan ready for the games to begin. Eastern Bartonshire Judokan David Ferguson and Rachel Tytler will make their Commonwealth Games debuts next week. Ferguson from Bishopbriggs and Tytler from Bearsden were selected for Team Scotland last month, having been in impressive form this year. In particular, 26-year-old Ferguson won silver at the Dubrovnik European Cup earlier this year, with 25-year-old Tytler placing 5th. The games take place in Birmingham from tomorrow, Friday, August the 8th, with the judo competition being from August the 1st to the 3rd, as the 11-strong Scotland team look to match the tally of 13 medals, including 6 goals, amassed in 2014. The judo will actually take place in the Coventry Arena, along with wrestling and rugby sevens, and Ferguson will be the first to make his medal bid on Tuesday, August the 1st, in the men's under 60 kilograms, lightweight, with tighter following 2 days later in the women's under 78 kilograms, heavyweight. Ferguson said, "We are both really proud to be going as part of a great Scotland team. Events like this only come along every so often, and we are hoping to do well." Titler added, "The Commonwealth Games are special, and we all have great memories of Glasgow 2014. Normally we represent Team GB, so the chance to fight for Scotland is a great honour." Glasgow 2014 gold medalists Sarah Adlington and Chris Shennington will lead the Scottish squad, also featuring debutantes Kirsty Marsh, Hannah Wood, Malin Wilson, Dylan Monroe, Alexander Short, Finlay Allen and Billy Rodman.
Thank you for listening to this week's Kirkintilloch Herald podcast, brought to you by Q Review Print Speaking to the Blind. If you've any feedback, you're welcome to call us on 0141 772 3976. If you enjoyed this recording, feel free to subscribe to our channel.